In life, no one can escape difficult times, from personal failures to global crises. And in those moments, worry seems inevitable. However, there is an ancient philosophy, Stoicism, that has helped millions of people find peace and strength, even in the worst of challenges. Did you know that fears about the future can actually become opportunities for personal growth? How can we master our emotions, overcome anxiety, and find peace during uncertain times? Let's explore the Stoic principles that help us remain steady amidst change and rediscover our inner strength, distinguishing between what we can control and what we cannot. In life, the most important thing is to distinguish between what we can control and what is entirely beyond our control. Especially during difficult times, when anxiety about the future and uncertainty overwhelm us, being aware of this distinction can help maintain calm and peace. According to Stoic philosophy, the only thing we can truly control is our own actions. Everything else, such as wealth, health, reputation, or even the future, is beyond our grasp. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "The only things that are truly ours are our thoughts. Everything else is not ours." When faced with a world constantly changing and unpredictable, tying our happiness to things we cannot control often leads to disappointment. I recall times when I worried about losing my job, facing financial difficulties, or dealing with a sudden pandemic. Every day, I feared things that hadn't happened yet, creating a cycle of anxiety. However, once I realized that worrying about things beyond my control only added pressure without changing anything, I gradually learned to relax. Seneca, in his works, advised, "We are not afraid of what will happen, but of how we think about it." This doesn't mean becoming indifferent or unconcerned about the world, but rather seeing clearly what is truly important and changeable. For example, while we can't change the economic situation or stock market fluctuations, we can decide how to face them and how to work and act in ways that don't let them control our emotions and happiness. When we understand that only we can shape our actions and emotions, a sense of relief follows. Epictetus also pointed out, "It's not what happens to us that matters, but how we respond to it." Instead of worrying about what is out of our control, we should focus on what we can immediately do to improve our lives. Every small action and every right decision brings us closer to peace and happiness, no matter how the world around us changes. Virtue, vice, and things that don't matter. In life, each of us faces countless decisions, and one of the most important decisions is how we choose to live in a way that preserves our integrity and meaning. Stoic philosophy, particularly through the teachings of Seneca and Epictetus, helps us clearly distinguish between things we can change and things we cannot. Virtue, according to the Stoics, consists of actions stemming from integrity, kindness, and fairness, things we can cultivate and develop each day. It's how we live, how we treat others, and how we treat ourselves. In contrast, vice is not external factors, but actions that go against human dignity, choices that harm both ourselves and the community. These are things we can control and need to avoid. However, there is a third category that the Stoics call indifference, such as wealth, health, or poverty. These are external factors that are neither good nor bad. They do not determine our true value as humans. We should not let these things dominate our lives or our happiness. When we focus on virtue, we are not swayed by external circumstances. True happiness comes from within, from the values we live by and practice every day. Remember, virtue is the only thing we can truly control, and it is the only thing that truly matters. When we understand this, life becomes clearer and more peaceful, reevaluating what we truly need. Life often pulls us into a whirlwind of endless ambitions and desires. We want it all: a solid career, abundant wealth, and glamorous relationships. Yet during difficult times, when everything seems to be falling apart and life becomes uncertain, we begin to realize that some things are truly important and some are merely illusions. It's in these moments that we must reevaluate what we truly need. Stoic philosophy helps us recognize that, in times of crisis, the most important things are not luxuries, expensive items, or social status, but the most basic needs: food, shelter, and health. When we lose everything non-essential, we can still find peace in these simple things. This is why Stoicism encourages us to let go of attachments to what doesn't matter, focusing instead on what brings lasting value to our lives. When you stop obsessing over possessing everything, you create space to appreciate the simple things that bring enduring happiness. Warm meals with family, a safe place to call home, and the health to live fully each day. No one can predict the future. And in uncertain times, tying your happiness to material things is dangerous. Look to historical examples of people who've endured hardship and loss. They survived and grew stronger because they learned to cherish the essentials and let go of what wasn't truly important. As we learn to live with only what is truly necessary, not caught up in the pursuit of material things, our souls become lighter. And when faced with a crisis, we no longer feel as though we've lost too much, because what remains are values that cannot be taken away. Death and suffering are natural. Death and suffering are two things that no one can avoid in life. We often try to avoid them, seeing them as evil, unacceptable things. However, Stoic philosophy, with the teachings of philosophers like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, reminds us that death and suffering are not to be feared or seen as tragic, but as inevitable parts of life, things that cannot be separated from human existence. Every time we face suffering, our fear of death grows. But it is precisely in these moments that Stoicism advises us to remember that death is a natural part of the life cycle. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "We are not immortal, so live according to the present, and don't waste time worrying about death." Indeed, life and death are intertwined like two sides of a coin. Without death, we wouldn't fully appreciate the value of life. Death is not an end, but a return to nature. We cannot live forever, and accepting this fact helps us live more fully, without fear or anxiety over what is beyond our control. Rather than avoiding it, we should face death as a part of nature, a part of the continuous motion of the universe. When we understand that suffering and death are not to be feared, but essential parts of life, we find peace within ourselves. The fear of death only robs us of precious moments in life. Seneca said, "Fear of death keeps us from living fully, making us live as if we are already dead." Instead of letting fear control us, let us live with courage and gratitude, savoring each moment and recognizing that death will come when it comes, and we cannot change that. When we face death, we may also find freedom and tranquility in life. The uncertainty of the future. The future is something that humans can never truly grasp. It is like a foggy, mysterious, and unpredictable land. We don't know what will happen tomorrow, and it is this uncertainty that causes anxiety, stress, and fear in our minds. However, Stoic philosophy offers us a different way of looking at the future. Rather than being caught up in the pointless worries about what has not yet happened, we can learn to let go of those fears and focus on the present, the only thing we can truly control. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "We cannot control the future, but we can control how we respond to it." This is a powerful reminder that, while the future can change unexpectedly, and no one can predict what will happen, we can still control how we approach those changes. The future will always bring the unforeseen, but how we prepare for it and act in the present will determine the course of our lives. When we realize that worrying about the future is nothing but a waste of energy, we feel much lighter. Tying our happiness to things we cannot control, such as careers, money, or external circumstances, only increases our stress. Instead of worrying about things that haven't happened, Stoic wisdom encourages us to focus on what we can immediately change, our actions in the present. Only when we live fully with what we have in the here and now can we best prepare for the future, no matter what it brings. The future may indeed be challenging and uncertain, but that is the nature of life. These changes are not to be feared but embraced as opportunities for growth. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Every difficulty is an opportunity to practice patience and inner strength." When we learn to face the future calmly and not let it control our minds, we find freedom within ourselves. Change is inevitable. Life is an ongoing series of changes. Every day, everything around us changes, from our inner emotions to the external world. Change is a natural part of life, but sometimes we feel fear and insecurity in the face of these fluctuations. However, Stoic philosophy teaches us that change is not something to fear. It is an opportunity to learn, grow, and discover deeper values in life. Philosopher Marcus Aurelius once shared, "Everything changes, and nothing lasts forever, so don't get caught up in the feeling of loss. This is a powerful reminder that change is inevitable, but our attitude towards it will determine what we can learn from those transformations. Instead of worrying about loss or things beyond our control, we should view change as a natural part of life's flow, as an opportunity to develop and adapt. When facing major changes, whether in work, relationships, or societal matters, we often feel confused and lost. However, when we understand that change is unavoidable, we are better able to accept it and find ways to use it to improve ourselves. Seneca once said, "Don't fear change, for in that change lies the opportunity to become a better version of yourself." The challenges life brings are not to be feared, but rather precious lessons that help us grow stronger and evolve. One key point that Stoics emphasize is that change does not always bring negativity. While we may feel a sense of loss when facing difficulties, change can also present new opportunities, opening doors that we previously could not see. By learning to accept and adapt to life's fluctuations, we will realize that change is truly an indispensable companion on the path to inner freedom and peace. Change is not a challenge, but an essential part of life that helps us live more fully each day. Life will always have its moments of challenges and instability, but it is precisely in these times that we discover where true strength lies. Stoicism not only helps us gain a clearer understanding of ourselves, but also allows us to find peace in things we cannot control. When we realize that each difficulty is an opportunity for growth, we no longer fear the challenges life brings. If you feel that these Stoic principles can change the way you view life, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, share this video, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next ones. Thank you for watching, and I hope these insights will help you find the strength to stand firm through every challenge.